Mhm. Okay, got it. Where do we find us here? There we are. It's a little bit different. I was getting used to the new format. Let's see where we are here. Perfect. Hello, everybody. I'm just going to allow some people to pop in before. Beautiful. Have some people popping in. And you won't be able to see this time on your side, Colin, without the restream streaming. I don't know what I just did. Perfect. There's some people popping in. Good. I'm going to put this up so I can see. Hello, David. Hi, friends. Good morning. It's good morning for people on my side and good evening for everyone on your side. So hello, everybody. It's good to see you. We have no specific topic, but how cool is this? Colin and I both showed up in orange. I promise we didn't plan it. I think it's perfect.
Yeah, the second chakra.
It's getting rocked, isn't it? Oh, I think that that's fantastic. Good morning, Christina. Hello, Sue. Beautiful. People popping in. So yeah, it's an orange kind of day. It's a second chakra, sacral chakra kind of energy feel. We're getting a lot of stuff moving and moving out of the body, creating more space for change, more space for change. And I think in class, we recently were doing some rod repair work in the body. And we were seeing, you can kind of see the second chakra, the second orange, we call it the orange ray, it's called all kinds of things, but sliding up, Colin, to the 14th gold vibration, how our body changes as we ascend and as we get more into our bodies shifting and changing, and where we focus our energies and our attention in our own personal changes. We no longer operate from these lower vibrational chakras. It doesn't mean they don't exist because we still have a physical body, but I think stuff like that is so cool. Anyway, hello, Judy. Hello, Athena. Beautiful. Hey, Debbie. Wow. So lots of stuff happening. I know you're getting lots of questions. And we were speaking before we popped on here about how everything that's going on is a progression, and it's timed. Um, it's timed with divinity by God's law, by God's rules, and it's much like creating a layered painting. And so let's talk a little bit about everything today. If you guys have questions, bring them on too.
Yeah, one of my Facebook friends, Torin Somsa, I think he's Scandinavian, wrote to me and he said, would I please explain what I know about what what will happen in the future? And so rather than do a long post, I'm going to do a bit of an explanation, fairly short explanation about this subject, so that the wider audience can also pick up on it and understand it. The We entered into an ascension cycle, but that started with a stellar activation cycle in 2007, and then an ascension cycle in 2012. And an ascension cycle usually lasts 33 years. And in every ascension cycle, you get 4 periods during that cycle, um, and the first cycle is about 7 to 8 years, um, and then you get the second cycle, which is also about 7 to 8 years, and the third cycle is also 7 to 8 years, and all told, it's 33 years. That's the cycle of ascension.
Isn't that
And
the Kabbal's like famous number? Isn't 33 like their famous Masonic number? Is it ironic that it falls on 33?
not really, because the universal numeric system is based on the number 3, 6, and 9. Um, the Freemasons use it as well, because in the Grand Lodges, in the Masonic system, they run a kind of parallel system to the universal uh, creation system. So they have copied and replicated the universal design and creation system within their system. And that,
Fascinating.
so there are two programs running. The one is the universal program, and the other one is the fallen angelic program.
Yes.
So
And so
yeah, that
they're like stuck on each other like this. And some people are running in their system and operating their body, mind, and spirit is stuck in that fallen program. And as we move into the organic, as we're able to break away from this, we're able easier now to move into the organic system. Is it
yeah.
fair to say some people have always been in the organic system, or have most of us, or have we all been in the fallen system, and only just now, because of the way the bifurcation is happening, that we're able to go into the organic system?
Yeah, it's we're now able to go into a more organic system than before. A lot of the information that's been coming out over the last 20 to 30 years has been remarkable, in the sense that it's changing human consciousness. And even in the last 2 years, we've seen how, with this disease that we were told about, and everyone put on masks and behaved like good little sheeple. But not everyone did that. And there's a vast number of people, I would say about in South Africa, it's about 52% of the people don't agree with it. They haven't got the jab. And it's in other countries, people are more compliant, but Africans seem to have an adversity to putting foreign substances into their bodies. They also have been very suspicious of any form of, jabbing, because in Africa, Central Africa, in the 50s, they were experimented on with the polio jab, and eventually that ended up in disaster for many countries in Africa. And people here still remember that, and so they're very reluctant to put anything unnatural into their bodies. But of course, many modern Africans who don't remember those events of the past, don't have that kind of resistance. But, worldwide, people are waking up, and their consciousness is changing. Well, that's kind of like a curve, if you know what I mean. And it's going up. And that upward movement is a state of higher consciousness. And people are beginning to understand the lies and so on that have been going on here. And then in 2014, I was told that the blank slate technologies had been taken over by the Galactics and the Guardian Alliance, and have and are in the process of removing them, but they can't remove them immediately because that would affect human consciousness too much. So they're weaning us off that program and introducing a new program to the earth. And so the primary, and also in 2014 I was told that in order for us to ascend, the Guardian Alliance was depending on humans to get rid of the fallen angelics that were on planet, because the fallen ones off planet had been removed. Well, most of them have been removed, but we've still got a few hanging around our planet of fallen ones. But they are of very little consequence at the moment because their system is slowly collapsing. And so, as above, so below, we see that world systems are also beginning to collapse. The narrative that was established, in 2020 is now falling apart, literally, before our eyes. To the extent that the UK has actually decided that from the 27th of January, that they will return to normality, and there will be no vaccination mandates, there'll be no lockdowns, there'll be no vaccine passports or any kind of mandated passport in their society. And other countries like Scotland and Ireland and Wales will probably follow suit and do the same thing, because they're an integrated community, and it will be very strange for people from Ireland visiting the UK, to suddenly find themselves free and not having to do all the nonsense that they do in their own countries. So they'll, and slowly this is going to dismantle. This
Sure.
whole narrative is going to dismantle.
It's curious to me, Colin. I'd love to hear your take on this. With the UK having such a stronghold and being so in charge of things, and all of this really kind of starting in this landmass, in the sense of controlling, being controlled, and everyone kind of following suit. Why are they first? Why are they going first when you would think that they would be the ones that would be the last ones to let go of their grip? Do you feel like there's some kind of like plan, or like, how they go, okay, little humans, we're going to give you this little win now and make you feel like you have accomplished something, but and then how they just kind of stop. They expect people's consciousness to stop. They expect them to stop digging. They expect them to lay down their swords and their shields and just stop altogether. Do you feel like this is like part of a setup? Like, I don't want to be pessimistic, but you know how they work, right? You know how they operate. So what do you feel like is happening here?
Well, I think people in the UK, especially the elite in the UK, are beginning to understand that they've got to, if they persist with this narrative, they're going to lose control of their populations, because there's a large volume of people in the UK who, don't support this nonsense. Also in the background, there are a lot of court cases that are being brought before the International Criminal, I can't remember the whole name, the International Court of, the International Criminal Court of Justice, the ICJ, which is in the Hague, and vast volumes of evidence are being presented to this court, and a lot of the people are named by name. So people who are in power and in positions of power are being implicated in a massive crime against humanity, and and this is all part of what's going to happen. It has to happen this way, because we have to get rid of the those in charge of the fallen system here, and we have to get rid of the people who are in charge. So we're getting rid of the system, but we also have to get rid of the people. And when I say get rid of the people, I don't mean necessarily to jail them or do them any harm. And I don't think that would be advisable to do them any harm, but just to let them fade away. And there will be a sorting out process between those who have the potential for an ascension and those who are thoroughly fallen and have no potential for ascension.
Right.
And
And there are courts that go all the way up. So we have the ICC, which is boots on the ground. And then as we go up into the etheric realms, there are courts there as well, like International Free World Council. And moving up, there are different councils that go up. Sue is saying that there's a huge national demonstration yesterday in the UK, and that there's a criminal case apparently accepted by the London Metropolitan Police now, which is waking more and more people up. So we're seeing cases like this.
and they are using the excuse that Boris Johnson was found, partying with his friends in a function that he called a work function, but it basically was a cocktail party with drinks and food, and everyone was unmasked, and pictures were taken of that. And so that was such hypocrisy that it really inflamed a lot of the people in the UK. They were really pissed off about it.
Yes, they should be. We just had a picture in one of our social media groups for a local school district. And we have one of the most, I don't know, horrific, tyrannical, non-caring of children superintendents. And she keeps all of our children masked. They're pushing this like test before you go back to school stuff. We're currently on online school again for a little while. They're picking and choosing which schools they're going to put online. And here she is at like an auction or party with nobody masked, everybody's sitting down on round tables. And it's like, seriously, like we have kids, literally, this is no joke. I'm not being extreme. This is for real. Kids sitting 6 feet apart in the cold on a bucket to eat lunch on their lap. This is not, I'm not making it up. This actually happens here. And just like, really? And you get to sit in all of this beauty and glorious celebration and completely unmasked and close together with people. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting to me that they do this.
Yeah, and it's happening all over the world. In South Africa, I read commentary in the news. Not that I read much mainstream news, but there is one website that I follow, and then there's one newscaster. He does a podcast every day, and I've been following his podcast because he generally is a truth teller. But it's interesting how their view has been changing from 2 years ago when they were following the narrative. And now they're starting to question the narrative themselves. Because, for instance, we've been told that, this jab will free us from this virus. But when people are jabbed, they are getting sick. So what's the point? Everyone's asking, what is the point?
What is the point? And people that are unjabbed are getting sick from the jabbed. And this is, that's the piece that's coming out even slower, but it is going to be coming out as, there's no doubt about it. I'm proof of that. I have friends that are proof of that. I have a girlfriend that went into spontaneous menopause from touching people, all day long that are jabbed, and she is not. So spontaneous menopause, that's incredible. Like it's ridiculous how it's affecting people, and it's not going to be the same for everybody. So,
Yeah, and it hasn't had the effect that they were hoping, and they were hoping they could, their narrative would throw everyone into a fit and frenzy of fear and would line up to take this jab, but it doesn't happen that way, certainly not here in South Africa. People are largely resistant to any kind of coercion, and also resistant to being told what to do with their lives. People feel free here generally and don't like to be, dictated to. Because of the apartheid years, we were dictated to by a nationalist government here. So people have built up a resistance to being dictated to. Uh, so yeah, and it's going to be worldwide. And some of the leaders of this gang are being uh, their actions and their motivations are being exposed, like dear old Dr. Fauci. It's coming out now that in his financials that he's making a lot of money out of this investment he's made in China, and it's not clear exactly what the investment is, but it's clear he's making millions of dollars from investments he's made in the virological and pharmaceutical industries. And those are the two industries that are benefiting from this pandemic.
mhm.
So it's clear that these people are shameless in what they do. Even our president in South Africa has now joined up with a Chinese businessman and to produce vaccines in South Africa. Now, if your president is invested in a vaccine company, guess what he's going to start, pushing for
Yep,
people.
yep. I feel like they're all vested in one way or another. All these guys, however it works. This is spinning me to look at Trump's speech. Now, we didn't pre-talk about this, but I just kind of want to toss this out here and get a feel for what's happening. Um, I'm always of the less popular uh, belief structure that it's the same bird, different wing, and it's the light side of the dark, and it is what it is. But a lot of people. I haven't listened to the speech yet, but I did listen to pieces of it, and I did see some pictures. And there's a theory out there that it wasn't him at all. And I actually hold a theory that a lot of what we have seen or heard isn't actually him anyway. They don't have the same energy signature. So I'm curious if you listen to any of that, and or if you think that some people are suggesting that it was somebody wearing a mask, a very good mask, but we're also hearing, we heard in that speech, that it looks like it's going more towards original speaking of that these injections, that you can hear more of the not being pro injection. And so remember how a while it like flipped, and it was like, why is he seemingly promoting this? And now it's like slowly feels like it's rolling back to not promoting this. And Fauci was mentioned. He said something like, what did he say? Something like, I didn't make Fauci king. Biden did that or something. I don't know. So any take on what you see coming down the pike with this?
Yeah, look, it's going to be uh, quite an emotional ride for many people, but between now and the midterms in 2022 in November, um, there's a lot that is going to be coming out, to the extent that the Democratic Party will will fundamentally be a thing of the past. People are beginning to realize more and more that they are pushing a socialist agenda. And from what I can gather, Americans don't want a socialist agenda. They don't like communism. They're a capitalist society and they want to keep it that way. But there's a revolution brewing, a socialist revolution brewing, being funded by the usual suspects like Soros, that are they're going to try to overthrow the American society as it is now and create a socialist communist society. But it just ain't working. People just aren't wired like that anymore. And that's a function of people waking up so that they are less conformed to narratives that are coming from the propaganda machine of the political environment. They're beginning to create more independence for them, independence of thought for themselves. And, like the Trump speech that you mentioned, I didn't watch that. But, when I hear speeches by people like him or other people in the Republican Party, I don't react to it. Because when you react to it, you are doing exactly what they are doing. They are politicians, they are propagandists, they push propaganda. So, if you want the truth, you have to really dig deep and find 2 or 3 sources that are telling you the same thing, and reliable sources. Because, on my YouTube feed, for instance, I get so many people who basically are pushing such wild ideas. And I can imagine people not in the know would read this nonsense and start to believe everything that these people are telling them, like, so many people have already been executed in
Right.
Guantanamo Bay, that the court cases have already been done, that, they've got photographs of some of these politicians and bureaucrats in orange overalls, and they post these on the... Now, that might be true, but I'm not going to believe it until I have it confirmed by reliable sources. So whenever I see these things, I first look to see who's telling the story here. And if I don't know them to be reliable, I just don't believe it. I just ignore what they say. And, but there's a narrative now going around that Ron DeSantis and Trump are at odds with each other, and they're criticizing each other. But that's just a narrative, until I see it for myself, I won't believe it, because there's so much propagandizing that goes on the internet. It's just not funny. But everyone has to look within themselves to their own truth, and what is true for them, so that they don't follow the truth out there. They follow the truth within themselves. And when you follow the truth within yourselves, you create the truth that's out there. So it's a non-reactionary policy, and rather a creative response, reality that one should live, so that we create the solution rather than look at the problems.
There's another thing that's coming up. Thank you for that, Colin. It's something that we forget about when we're listening to narratives, and that's exactly what they are, narratives. And so again, learning how to discern an energy signature is extremely important. Moving through this like minefield of information. There's something that comes up about 2024, and that we're the mention of taking back the White House in 2024. But this is really curious because this goes back to the infiltration of our organic calendar, our time. And so I want to talk about time for a second, because obviously we don't perceive time as time actually is. We perceive time collectively as we agree upon it. So was time taken from us? We know there's a war over timelines, but was our calendar really messed with? There are lots of different theories out there saying, 2012 was really 2021, or well, there was a couple days taken off here and there were 30 days taken off there. So what is your idea on and knowingness of the calendar situation?
Well, one of the things the fallen ones had to do here was manipulate time. And because they understand time better than humans do. Humans have a linear idea of time, so they see time as being a linear progression. Uh, but time is just information traveling along a wave of light. You know, and as the wave progresses, so does time. Time is just a wave of energy. We have to learn and understand. If you want to understand time, you have to understand waves, frequency, energy, and vibration. That's what Nikola Tesla, told us, and it's absolutely true. I find it to be true because time is just a progression of information along a wave of light. But what the fallen ones have been doing here, they propelled us into what is called the Gregorian calendar, where we manipulated time so that we'd have a leap year every 4 years. And then within each year, there would be certain festivals. Easter, Halloween, Christmas. These are all pagan festivals. They're of pagan origin and they are satanic. You know, people take odds with me when I say Christmas is about satanic. But what is Christmas?
Right.
The Mass of Christ. What is a Mass? A Mass is a sacrificial ritual. You know, when people go to Mass, Sunday Mass, what are they doing? They're celebrating the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, and they drink his blood and eat
And
his.
eat his body. Yeah. That one is always, I grew up Catholic, and I'll just tell you, like, I was horrified as a child being able to see past, what they were saying and what the whole construct was built in. I was like, why am I being taken here every Sunday? And why do I have to participate in this? It was beyond me. But it's curious. And I innately, that doesn't mean that all Catholics are bad or satanic, nor does it mean all pagans are satanic. So let's be clear on that.
Yeah, we have to understand that the universal is a perfectly designed system. But within that system, there is something called free will, where all beings have, to some extent, have got free will, to be or not to be. That is a question Shakespeare asked. But there is this perfect system, but within that system, there are beings within the system who don't follow the perfect system. So they create the imperfect within the perfect. And it's that imperfection that they have created that we are experiencing. Whereas what we have to do is migrate back to that perfect system that was created by the universe, which is natural, organic, eternal, and based on values, strong values. That's a whole different ballgame. So, as we progress along this time of ascension, we're going to see an increasing acceleration of consciousness and growth of consciousness. And in 2024, I will tell you now, we're going to experience a totally different world from what we are. But I don't know, I can't, I understand it from an energetic perspective. And events are energy. So there are certain events that will happen, and information is energy. And so the information coming out to the public is going to increase and increase and increase over these next 2 years, which will begin to change the consciousness of people, because people's consciousness is based on information, uh, information out there, but also how they resonate with that information. And so people are going to have to start getting back into the understanding of who they are and what their rights are, and to take back control and begin to master self again. Because at the moment in this society, there's no mastery of self, or very little mastery of self. We live in a world of expediency, where people, will do what is expedient rather than what is the right thing. Um, and so we're going to have this massive growth in consciousness. So by 2024, I dare say that we may not have any elections on this planet.
I support your, I dare say. It seems like, and maybe we're wrong, but things are definitely the next couple of years going to drastically change, and it's already changing. We're already seeing, because they're crumbling, their system is crumbling, their fallen system is being transmuted back into source. Uh, so and everything's being overridden. Of course, that's going to take time, and it's going to take a recreation of us getting back to, as you always say, our standards and values. It's going to be us getting back to not just going out and buying a new shirt off of Amazon, but maybe you're going to have to learn how to fix the one that you have, or make a new one by hand. I might be being extreme, but there are just different things that I think we're going to actually go back to and actually value, and
Yeah,
appreciating humanity, who and what we are. But it's not going to be easy. I don't think it's going to be easy.
yeah, yeah. And there's lots happening, in terms of the growth of consciousness, because as the human consciousness grows to a higher level of consciousness, we have a symbiotic relationship with Mother Earth. Mother Earth is a sentient being. And when we wake up, this helps her to raise her own frequencies, because she will respond to us as we present to her what our feelings and thoughts are. And as we grow in consciousness, so Mother Earth is going to grow in consciousness, and she's not going to sit back and just allow the system that's happening now to continue. At some stage, she's going to hear the prayers. She's going to hear the voices of her children on earth, and she's going to react to that. And together with the higher dimensions working with Mother Earth, they understand this. Humans here don't understand how much they are dependent on Mother Earth. Everything we have, we get from Mother Earth. We get life from Mother Earth. We get our food from Mother Earth. We get our protection from Mother Earth. Water, air, an atmosphere that protects us against harmful rays from the sun. A system, there's water all over the planet. 2/3 of the world of Earth is covered in water. And she provides us with a cycle of life, and she's filled with life force energy. And that life force energy she gives to us. And as we respond to that life force energy, we start giving back to Mother Earth. It's like having a child who, that's the real, in a sense, the story of the prodigal son. We are the prodigal son, and we have to go back to Mother Earth. I'm not saying to worship in Mother Earth, because it's not about worshiping Mother Earth and making Mother Earth a god, because she is part of the God system, the perfect system that was created in the universe. So we have to kind of change our consciousness, raise our frequencies, and Mother Earth will respond. And she will respond in ways that, you know, will be very helpful to us. And, you know, we had that volcanic eruption in Tonga recently, and people think that that was a natural occurrence. That was not natural.
I agree with
That
you.
that was as a result of an atomic explosion deep under the sea that opened up the fissures under the earth of the people of Tonga, and so the volcano that was half active suddenly exploded. Now that's unnatural. It's never happened in my lifetime that something like that has happened. I mean, it was a massive, massive explosion. In that, it was, you know, there's shots of it in real time from satellites. You saw what was happening, a massive explosion. Now, people should understand that Mother Earth can be very, very helpful, but she can also be very, very destructive. And as much as we are destructive, self-destructive, so the Earth will respond to that and create destructive events. You know, if people don't understand, you know, the tectonic plates, how easy it is to shift them. You know, it's all a question of magnetic forces on the planet. And if those tectonic plates start moving around, it's going to create absolute chaos. If the magnetic fields on Earth are moved around too much, or there's a magnetic reversal, it will create chaos. Mother Earth is holding all of that on our behalf, you know.
I,
So
I
if we don't work,
mhm. I'm just going back in my memories, my file of memories of seeing the missile attack uh, that happened, and that's what I call it. And there are also a lot of other people like you and I, Colin, that also that do believe it's was natural. So you know, there's controversy even within our own community, and that's okay. We see what we see, and express it the way we express it. Everybody sees things individually in their own way and in their own time. So that being said, um, oh gosh, I was going to ask this question about, oh, I remember now. And we talked about stargates, planetary stargates and other things, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it's of the popular awareness that there are 3 new stargates opening up. I have not personally gone in my work and like looked to see this or check this, so I have no lensing on my own. Do I think there are more stargates? Absolutely. You know, I think that there's openings and portals everywhere. What is your take on that? Do you have you noticed or seen anything like that opening up recently? And do you think that has anything to do with any of these missile attacks?
I don't think stargates have anything to do with the missile attacks, but you're right, there are portals all over the planet. But I think the Stargate system is well established on this planet, has been for 243,000 years. So it's, yeah, the new stargates, I doubt it because how do they fit in with the other stargates? Because you have this wonderful system of portals around the planet and grid lines and ley lines around the planet, passing energy from one place to another and so on. So if you create a new stargate, who's creating it? For what purpose? Um, there is a stargate in the sun that I believe that is becoming more active. Okay. Um, and that's what people might be noticing because part of our energy gets fed into Earth through our chakras, and the Earth also has chakras, and some of her chakras are also connected to the sun. And that's how the sun passes life force energy to Earth, and the Earth passes life force energy back to everything on the planet. Every sentient being is a soul construct, and everything has chakras and portals. On our bodies alone, there are 144 different portals. Every one of your fingers is a portal. Both of your hands are portals. Both of your feet are portals. Your heart chakra is a portal. All of our chakras are portals. There are certain energy points in our body with energy spiraling in and spiraling out. So I can't see what the purpose of a new, but it's possible that what they're talking about is newly activated portals. Because I think before 2012, all the stargates here were basically under the control of the fallen angelics. But I think as we head more towards 2045, we're going to have more portals, existing stargates, activating. Okay, they're active. Stargates are activated by Q sites, which are crystal pylon grids in the Earth's crust. And the Q sites activate stargates all over the world, but they are in a grid system. So certain Q sites activate certain stargates. So what we could see happening as we progress further into the ascension cycle is that portals will be activated. Now, why would they be activated? Well, they act like the energy transfer system. So as we feed energy into Mother Earth, our consciousness goes into Mother Earth, and that consciousness then has to be transported around the planet. That's how the grids work. That's how ley lines work. It's people are so bound by the systemic thinking here that they can't imagine a world where you could stand in a portal and be transported from one place to another place instantly through the Earth's portals.
I
It's a
heard that
kind of,
happened in Ireland a lot. I like it, like you could just walk, I don't know. I think I've read stories that just happens to people in Ireland. For some reason, the lands are more activated there.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
find it
because
curious.
mirrors can also act like portals,
Yeah.
it just depends if they're clean and, how old they are, what the energy that has been built into them is. If you understand energy, mirrors are just the anti-matter world that they reflect the matter world. So they're anti-matter.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's. I was talking about why these portals are being activated, but the principal reason is because when we ascend, the Earth will ascend, and as the Earth is going to ascend through the portal in the Sun, okay, through, uh, and so this planetary ascension that happens, okay, it's not an individual ascension, although the individuals on Earth will go through that system by agreement with the galactics. They've agreed to do this. Never been done in the universe before. and Earth's portals must open to create that connection with the sun, so that we can ascend through the. When I say ascend, people should understand that nothing moves. Movement is an illusion. It's like
Right.
a magician trick. What 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 creates the Earth is the consciousness on the planet. Okay, that is what creates the Earth, because it's our perception of the world that we live in that creates the world that we live in.
Mhm.
And so it's just the way energy will come, be transferred from the sun into the earth, from the earth into us, into all the creatures on the sun, raising the vibration and frequency of all the beings on the planet, so that we are prepared for for a higher level of consciousness. Okay, not only in our soul bodies, but in our physical bodies as well. Because as your consciousness is raised in your soul body, so the consciousness in your physical body is raised, is changed. Because all of our DNA is stored in our soul bodies. Okay, the junk DNA, genetic DNA, it's all there in the soul body. So wherever your soul body goes, your physical body goes, because your soul body creates your physical body. So when we go through this process of ascension, when we start getting these energies into our soul bodies, it will raise the soul bodies, and it will activate certain connections between our soul body and the physical body. Those are the chakras. They are the connecting force between the soul and the body. They spiral from out of the soul body and create the reality of this physical body. And the physical body is just a hologram.
Yeah. This is
In a
well, this is making me think of so many things. Like now I have a million more questions and, put pieces together. But so when we go through the sun, the consciousness, the planet, everything moves through the sun portal. And I think Rudolf Steiner talks about the portal of the sun. I believe he does. I'm not sure, but that it's a portal or something. But so when we go through this, there are a lot of people saying that they see two suns. So in the new earth, they see two suns. And so I'm thinking that once the consciousness moves through this, then we're seeing from a different perspective, almost like on the other side. Then this is so I think that I'm understanding what you're saying. And then this is also going to make me curious about when the galaxy fell. So when Milky Way was created from falling from Andromeda, and the Milky Way got all these like Metatronic reversals stuck in here. So this is where they're building a lot of their systems, right? So in here, this is where they use like Metatron's cube, and this connects into, the cube systems. And then they've got like I can't stand it when I see this flower of life thing. It's clearly a closed system. It drives me nuts that healers use it. I just go, yuck, you're just looping into this Metatronic system. Will that disappear, and will that flower open? Will that finally will people stop using that system over here? Or like, do you hear what I'm saying? Will these pieces be healed on that side, or will we not even have to deal with that?
Yeah, it will change, because our consciousness will be able to really perceive the 3D world. At the moment, we are fourth D beings, fourth dimensional beings in a three-dimensional system, observing our reality as two-dimensional,
Got it. Yeah. Yeah.
like
Makes
a
sense.
like a movie.
Mhm.
It's two-dimensional.
So crazy. There's so much. There's so much that uh, as we move in consciousness, as an individual and as a collective, there are all these points where we're designed to stop. It's designed to make us stop right there. And it's only with true desire and yearning and creative ideas that we're going to actually push through these stopping points to know more of who we are, what we are. But they're really, we get there, we think, oh, I'm done, I'm here, and then here we are still using the Metatronic flower of life. No, you're not there yet. Like we've still got some more stopping points. And so, it's like while you're way more in expression than you were before, there's still way further to go. Like the journey is not over.
Yeah. Yeah, and when we are able to perceive what three-dimensionality really is, that we live in a three-dimensional world, it will change the dynamics of our perception. Okay, and it's the perceptions that create our reality. So when we become aware that what we've been told and indoctrinated with are just lies and dogma and propaganda. I have to go, so
That's
maybe
good.
we should carry on with this next week if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind at all. Thank you everybody for being here. Thank you, Colin. And I'm just going to go have some more coffee.
Yeah, I'll see you in half an hour.
I'll see you soon. Bye, Mike.
Okay.